checked out the library today.
Really?
And she told us they just got those yesterday.
Were the exterior like the entrance?
Yeah.
I missed that, so I was like, someone had to ask her. But yeah, she said that.
We've been over there.
Will everyone please stand for the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you everyone for coming, and those watching, for those watching, I don't know if they can hear or not, but we're having some technical difficulties. So are you ready to go with that, Corey, for public hearing?
You good to go, Kim?
Yeah, you might want to move it a little closer to them. It's hard to hear the mayor, if he just wants to speak a little more.
Okay. First on the agenda is public hearing. I'll go ahead and turn that over to you.
All right. So this hearing is called to order at 7:04 p.m. on June 27, 2022, at the Board of Aldermen meeting room in Hermann City Hall. It's conducted to consider the application for a conditional use permit filed by the Fancy Pheasant LLC to have liquor sales for outdoor consumption in a private walkway in the C1 commercial district for more than 12 days per year. The application was reviewed by the city's Planning and Zoning Commission on June 16, 2022. The commission passed a motion recommending that the board approve the application. At least 15 days notice of the time and place of this hearing was published in the Hermann Advertiser-Courier newspaper. After this hearing is concluded, the board shall provide its decision within at least 15 days. According to the municipal code, the Board of Aldermen may impose conditions on any permit to ensure that the use will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, morals, or welfare of the city or the citizens of the city, that the use will not injure the use and enjoyment of neighboring properties, that there will be adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities provided, that the use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding properties, that the use will not cause traffic congestion, and that the requirements for public services such as police and fire protection will not be overburdened. The board may grant a conditional use permit for such a period of time as it finds to be in the public interest. We have a transcript of this hearing being prepared. The applicant will have an opportunity to present her case. If there are any documents that the applicant desires the board to rely on, she is invited to submit those as exhibits. If the applicant has any witnesses whom she desires to speak, this will be allowed. And if the applicant is represented by an attorney whom she wishes to speak on her behalf, this also will be allowed. Following the presentation or while any person is speaking, the board may ask questions. After the applicant has submitted her application, the board will ask for testimony from others present in the room. And at the conclusion of all testimony and comments, the board may deliberate and then vote on the issue. Whether the application is approved or denied will be carried by a vote of the majority of the board members who are present this evening. And I have marked as Exhibit 1 the conditional use permit application that was filed. Exhibit 2 is the affidavit of publication from the newspaper. Exhibit 3 is a copy of the notice of public hearing that was in the newspaper. Exhibit 4 is the minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission from their June 16th meeting, indicating Mike Langio made the motion to recommend approval of this permit, and Connie Johnson seconded the motion, and it was unanimously approved. And Exhibit 5 is a list of those persons who were given actual notice of this hearing living within 185 feet of 209 Schiller Street. And Exhibit 6 is the entire municipal code of the city of Hermann. Mayor Cox, do you agree to accept all these exhibits into the record?
Yes, sir.
Is the applicant here this evening?
Well, I don't really have a lot to say. I do have an updated layout of the space. Kind of shows you how many tables we'll have. Just 6, so we can be like 12 to 15 patrons. And then our plan is to build a bar at the east side of the courtyard, so we don't have to carry stuff back and forth from the bar to the tables.
Did the building inspector say 12? Or did he say you could have 15?
I never heard from.
15.
Okay,
So
never
you can have 15, okay, good.
Any other questions?
So the entrance would be with the stanchions and then they go on the sidewalk to the back little side yard?
Yeah, we'll keep the bar stocked. It'll just be like canned stuff, basically.
Okay.
So we don't have to carry stuff back and forth.
So just to be clear for everybody, there will be no carrying from the front door to the courtyard. The
Correct.
people will be entering from the back.
No, well, patrons will be entering from the front, from the sidewalk.
Okay, you'll be serving from the
From the
courtyard.
back.
Okay,
Yep.
very good.
Yep.
Can we keep this drawing you've got?
Yep.
I'll go ahead and mark that applicant's exhibit A for the record.
Are any beverages gonna be served like in a to-go container, or is it all gonna be consumed on property?
Yeah, it'll be consumed on property. We cans, I think like probably canned beer, and everything like in plastic to avoid dishes and glass.
Any other questions?
It says indefinitely in here, but aren't conditional use permits just for a year, so she just reapply, or?
Yeah, yeah, come for
Okay.
annual renewal.
All right. I want to make a motion.
I move to approve Hannah's fancy pheasant permit.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Corey, who was that second thing?
Derek Leroy.
Thank you.
Do you want me to cut this?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank
good?
you.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on. Mayor's report, short as usual. I just want to make a personal note. I just wanted to reach out and thank everybody for the well wishes and so forth for Bobby, my wife, and I's 50th anniversary. We really appreciated all that. And the only thing I really have is Hermann is recognized for as pretty as it is and so forth. And walking the street the other evening, I just noticed, and this is kind of a comment to most of our businesses in town, I guess. You're responsible from your building to the street. Try and spray some of the weeds or pull some of the weeds. I mean, it's looking pretty rough on the sidewalks in our town. Everything else looks pretty nice. It's not everywhere, it's just, it's just very distracting. Just a personal, anyway. So, that's all I really have. City Administrator report, please.
I'll be brief as well. You all received your beautiful bound budgets for the year, right? It always feels so good when we get to this point. So this is everything, and no numbers have changed since you've seen this last. This just contains all of the supplementary information, my budget letter, all the graphs and charts, and all divided by departments. So we'll be voting on that a second time tonight to approve the ordinance. Also, simultaneously, on the agenda tonight is the budget amendments for the budget year that we're closing out at the end of June. That is something we do semi-annually. We always do budget amendments mid-year and then here at the end. When we're really cleaning up the budget, it's really my preference as a budget model is I like to try to get the numbers, the budgeted numbers, to reflect what actually happened during the course of the year. So it's just evening up the revenues and the expenses. If you have any questions about that, I think I emailed them to you before. So so we'll need to, we wait till the very last minute to get as many through as possible for the year. So we will need to read that ordinance twice tonight. And then as Dave always explains to us, there is a little legal caveat that has us do a resolution as well. So that's on your agenda. Work on the grants continues. We've got the airport grant going. We've yet to hear back back from the engineer about if the bids will be back in time to consider this year yet, this summer. Engineering grant is still in process, and that's in conjunction with the wastewater infrastructure grant. Working on that, and then as I reported a couple weeks ago, we're also working on a new grant for some gas line repair funds. Tammy is not here tonight, but she has been in contact with Destination Services, who we approved at the last meeting to conduct the hotel feasibility study. And they've reached out to her for various information about our lodging industry. And I want to thank her for kind of taking the lead on that. And she is meeting with them. I will too, maybe the mayor, anybody. They'll be in town on July 8th and 9th. And Tammy is facilitating setting up some interviews and meetings with community leaders and tourism stakeholders. If you all would like to meet with them, let me know that as well. The only other thing I would say is that the city office the whole city will be closed on Monday, July 4th for 4th of July. And yeah, so the city, I always give my little friendly reminder, fireworks aren't allowed in the city limits. And the city, we do contribute to the fireworks display. We've donated $3,000 towards that again this year. That concludes my report. Since Jesse's here to report on the public works things.
Jesse?
The electric department has been working on converting the downtown lighting from high pressure sodium to LED. You guys might have noticed a slight color change in the lighting.
Right.
Yeah, you'll definitely pick up on more light.
So I had a call about that today. You had talked about this once. Are ours programmable to be dimmer?
So they have a possibility of coming on and off earlier. The dimming thing, I don't know if I can do that to all of them or if they're selective. But yeah, I made sure that we had the ability to pull down individual lights if possible. I gotta find out if that program allows each one of those lights to be done or if it works as a group.
Okay.
That's all software and light bulbs. It doesn't even, I can't wrap my head around that that's a thing, but here we are.
So will those lights come on if it's daylight?
So we can program those lights to work off of a clock if we want to and completely do away with our photo cells, which is how they've worked since time began. So these lights are a whole different thing. I have yet to even open the app because there's an app for light bulbs. So I haven't even opened the app yet. We've been so wrapped up with everything else going on. We got these lights in like a week and a half ago, and it's been a mad dash. So when I get to where I have time to play with them a little bit, I'll give you guys an email with all the features and what we can do and all of that.
So if we see some on during the day, just like the city office?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So those light bulbs downtown, if one's on, they should all be on.
Okay. This
If
one's
that's-
out when you go off before you go out of town?
So we've had some issues with that one. I think one of the guys saw that the other day. They said it was on in the middle of the day.
Yeah, and I think
So-
there's one on by the bridge too.
Okay. Yeah, anytime anybody, all of you included, anytime you guys see lights out, please call them in because, we don't drive every single block in town when it's dark and we don't know about them if nobody calls them in. So, anyway, they've been working on that. We've also been installing some of the new decorative poles and new LED fixtures in the park. You guys have probably seen those going in. That's gonna be kind of a progressing thing throughout the year. The gas department installed a new service line up north of town to a big chicken building, so that's a good thing, another customer for us to pick up. Keating has called in locates to start on the Freen Creek crossing again now that rivers are forecasted to drop. So hopefully we can get that done and never have to mess with that again. The Parks Department, of course, has been busy mowing and they started watering all the young trees that have been planted recently. I think just tree watering's kept them pretty busy, as dry as it's been. Streets have been obviously mowing grass also downtown, but most of their time has been spent on this Washington Street project, which I'm happy to report wrapped up tonight. We will open Washington Street tomorrow morning for traffic. So I'm super happy that that's over. Should have a good, smooth, finished product there, so it's kind of exciting. The wastewater department has been doing their routine maintenance. We're still waiting our SIP project to go ahead. The SIP contractors have had some other things come up, so they had to put off being here. The water department also has been helping with the street department, getting, all their manhole risers and water valves and stuff put in place, and removing the old fire hydrants, all the things that have to be done prior to paving. So it's been a busy few weeks, but we're getting a lot of stuff done, so that's kind of exciting. You guys have any questions?
So the sewer liner on the south side of First Street is not going in?
It hasn't been done yet. It's still gonna get done.
Okay.
It just, the contractors have not been here to do it, so.
I noticed 2 shovels there this evening.
Oh, down in the manhole?
No, the steam shovel or whatever you want to call
Oh, okay, well then maybe they showed up
it.
today.
Yeah, there's 2 of them sitting there. That wasn't there yesterday.
I was gonna say, I didn't see anybody in town earlier today when I was checking stuff out, so.
Unless they fell off a truck.
Well, if it's anything to do with a shovel, nobody will touch it. It's the only tool you can leave on a job site, nobody will steal it. All
Any
right.
other questions for Jess? Thank you, sir. Citizen public comments. Mr. Stimmy.
How much, I don't know what the new rules are. I haven't been.
Usually give you 3 minutes.
Oh,
Talk
okay.
fast.
But I don't really have much to say, except that, I'm not fully versed on all the issues that I think you're addressing and in progress on. But the first one is I want to applaud you all for investing in the economic development study, primarily with regard to the convention hotel. And I'm familiar with Cobblestone, and I wouldn't give up on them because they have been known in certain locations to design additional facilities. And they're doing this, I think, in concert with local investors, so maybe we'll have some people that can do some input, and maybe perhaps you can give them input. So applaud you on that, and I'm thankful that you're making a study on the economic development. I would suggest that there might be some other things you could do in addition to those that are already in progress with the mayor and the director of tourism and economic development with regard to the pretty, because that only does affect a lot of jobs.
All right.
And the other factor is how does it affect electric rates? The second thing I want to comment on is the planning and zoning issue. I guess it's actually an occupancy inspection, and I really have a lot of concerns that I don't have time to go into, but I'm not as well versed as I should be on what is being planned. I just read a draft copy of the minutes, and so I know that you're in progress on that with getting a plan or a tentative idea of what the building inspector is planning. So those 3 issues.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sloan?
I reserve any time I had left.
Just a couple things too, I know there's been some talk on the inspection of buildings in Hermann, businesses, homes, B&Bs type thing, and it's all in the name of safety, and we all agree with that, and we all think that's a good thing. But I just want to maybe make a point to proceed with caution. When you have a board of aldermen or whoever, you start to get into possibly some liability issues if if I was issued a permit to do, something and I had a letter that stated a facility was in good standing, and at some point in time, you know, I'm gonna take that certificate, put it on the wall, because it's what I do, put all my licenses on the wall. And I'm buying that license for this building permit. So that license has a way of protecting the business and, or the entity, or the home, and also the people who are issuing the license. If something would happen, there's a real possibility of a backlash of someone saying, well, look, I got this license that says my building is approved, and somebody fell in a hole, or the hole was under the couch, or whatever. It goes both ways. And so I just think you need to really proceed with extreme caution. Most businesses, homes, and buildings have some type of safety inspections now. Some businesses have safety inspections yearly, some have them monthly, and some businesses have those safety inspections done every day. And so there's already a very large umbrella of activity ensuring that that's taking place. And I just don't want this to become a heavy-handed issue for those folks out there trying to make a living and get through their daily lives and food on the table and things of that sort, because of added cost to their income right now, especially in this time of day when pricing is everything through the sky high. And also, just on the comment on the printing on things, you know, it's a bad deal for the city. I think
That's 3 minutes.
that's 3 minutes, okay. I think going forward, maybe that makes the business of tourism become more important. You know, that's something we can hang our hat on, and we know we have it. So when we start losing industries, we need to try to keep the other industries very viable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Clayton, would you like to speak, please?
Carol, get your net air back on. You want me to?
Clayton Newell. I was just coming in to speak about the art walk. So I don't know if you guys are going to present something about the art walk on Schiller. You guys
Yeah, it's on our agenda this evening.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to voice my opinion and approval. I've looked at a lot of different things around studies and things around the world, read a lot of different things. I was originally trying to find one that I read a couple years ago about a town in Germany, but then I just found like pretty much every city that has a tourism deal in America has some sort of another you know, pedestrian only, whether it be certain times of the year or certain streets or certain areas. And I think it varies on the different studies, but what I was seeing was in those areas and the surrounding areas to that, it was increasing their tourism dollar because people are staying there a little bit longer, finding different things to do. You know, some of them were in the 60 percentile. It's not just the places on that street. But I know it's not like some permanent thing that we're looking at or something like that, but there has been a lot of activity on these art walks, and art is awesome, and if we can share art with people, with more people, and they can hang out for a little bit longer, that's just one more, as Mike said, you know, we kind of lean on tourism a little bit more, and these art walks are going really, really well, so if we can see those people stick around for a little bit longer, enjoy our town a little bit more, and me just being right there, you know, in the center of Schiller, it helps me and hurts me, as you know, I don't have anywhere to park, but it'll be good to see all that life there on Schiller and all those new businesses and give them a little bit more life, and then those people spread out around town. So that was my 2 cents.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to ordinances.
first on for this evening is bill number 2022-24. It would be an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hermann, Missouri by adding a new code chapter 670, food trucks. And so that I think that you are all able to follow along with the drafts being emailed around. We are there in terms of, at least I think, what Tricia and I intended to put out there in light of comments made at the May 9th meeting among the board and some citizens and their attorneys. So it's for you to discuss.
Any discussion?
So we got the email from Thomas with the Gascony County Health Department this afternoon stating that he spoke with his supervisor and that the ordinance fits the descriptor of, what is it? The requirements. Yeah, so my issue right now is the, us requiring them to have a Gascony County Health Department inspection before we issue the permit. As far as I'm concerned, that ball needs to be put in their court. We could communicate with the Gascony County Health Department to let them know when they will be in business, but as far as I'm concerned, that's their cup of tea, and we don't need to be in the business of regulating them and making sure that they're permitted. As long as we communicate with them when and where they're operating, I think that's plenty for us to be doing as far as that.
Anyone else? Not to have a motion?
I'll chime in on, I think we should assist the county health department by requiring this inspection. Now, I know when we had some come in that had been in contact with Gascony County, and we issued them a permit, and then Gascony County followed up and that they did. So I think it is part of our jobs, because we're to hold up the city ordinances, state statutes, and the Constitution of the United States, and requiring a inspection would be part of the state statute that we swore to do.
I don't think so.
But this
Your
is saying,
health department guy right here just said that we're okay the way we are, so.
Their statute is to regulate that, not ours.
so, but what he is saying here, that we just need to let them know what food trucks are coming, and then they'll contact them and set it up, right?
And that's the
Yes,
assessment.
that's the way I understand it.
That's how it has worked in the past too, is city issued an email of what food trucks would be here and what days, then the county would go upon them. But now if we issue a permit and that slips through the crack, legally, and Mr. Police could help us, we issued them a license to operate. So the city could be liable too.
Couldn't the health department just say, hey, we did their inspection, or?
I'm not sure I follow.
What he's saying.
The city always has its old friend, sovereign and official immunity to protect it from liability. I think, I really just think that it's more of a business decision for the board. Do we want to try to sort of work together with the Gascony County Health Department in tracing and inspecting and making sure all these things get inspected? Or do we just want to leave it between the food truck operator and the health department?
Or something in between, like what we do presently, or is that we would send the health department a list of those temporary vendors that were selling food to them, and then wash our hands of it. Say, hey, we reported it to you.
That's what we've done
Yeah.
for years.
And that's our.
And the food truck should fall under that same aspect, I think.
And if they don't, then we jerk their permit.
But all of them are gonna already have licenses through the state and through the counties that they're in, and already have health inspections that are valid at the time through the state and the place that they're in too, so like.
I just think that's something we have no business regulating.
Gascony County requires their inspection.
Yeah, and they'll get it, they'll
when they don't honor Franklin County or Warren County, this is what the communication has been, that if they're gonna be operating in Gascony County, they wanted to inspect them. Previously, we had talked about other counties.
So where are we talking about changing wording?
Strike number 2.
Again, to you guys, so number, section 670-030, D2 is about as simple, I think, as they can get.
So if you were to strike those.
And if it's one of these, per this email, if it's one of these outfits that's there 365 days a year, they're gonna have a permit. And if it's there for 2 weekends a year, or 6 or 7 or 8, then the business, quote, needs to be cleared for a temporary food event. We would, therefore, if the business needs to be cleared, we would be available to work with the truck as long as it. So I guess they have a little bit something less than a permit that they have for a temporary food event. I think the language that we have in here right now just means the city wants something in its file to show that the food truck owner worked with Gascony County Health Department and has their temporary thing or their permit, or if it's 5:30 on Friday night, that at least they're communicating, and the inspector's gonna get there on Saturday morning, and we're not gonna hold them up on Friday night, that kind of thing.
I don't think most food trucks are gonna say, I got up this morning, I think I'll go to Hermann. They're not gonna most likely do
Those
that.
people plan ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's even hard to
They're a
get them
legitimate
anymore, there's
business,
such a
yeah.
demand for them.
So what I interpret what county says, they are actually requesting we leave that in as it is. Is that correct?
I don't know what their, I would have to speculate as to what their intentions are. I think they're just saying this is what what the county does and what we want to do. Like I said, if the city wants to see a document from the county health department as part of its file, we can leave it in here as is, or you could choose not to.
So 670-040A does say all food trucks shall comply with the sanitation standards of the Department of Health and Sanitation Services and the Missouri Food Code. So that's in there. I mean,
And then what about B though? 'Cause that's talking about county inspection.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say if D2 goes, then capital B under 040 would go as well.
I had my reservations initially about putting the burden on the health department, but according to Thomas, they want it, so
Yeah.
look, give it to them.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at that. I mean, that's why he sent the letter.
It's a little ambiguous when it says perpetual,
Right.
but I don't know how many times they have to operate before they become, the county does want them on file. But,
Yeah, he wasn't specific, and again, that would be up to them, not us.
yeah,
And as long as we work with them and communicate when and where they're going to be, I think that's all. we want.
I think we're, okay. So do we, want to make a motion to approve this?
Can we approve it with changes?
Yeah, so it requires 2 readings. If you want to approve a first reading with an amendment, that's fine. We've done that before many times. Or as is fine.
I would like to see it stay as is. I would make the motion to leave it as is.
I have a motion on the floor, do I have a second? To leave it as is.
And as is says any county in Missouri, so they can have one from anywhere.
Where does it
That's
have?
what this says. It says a copy of an inspection report from the health department of any county in Missouri, county
You must
inspection.
The one in
read
your
the
book
old
there.
one.
Uh-huh.
It's the old one.
That's the
That's the old one.
You have the new ones there on your
This
desk.
is Copy of the inspection report to
Oh,
Gascony
sorry.
County Health.
We had too many changes.
That doesn't say it has to be turned in before they get the permit. They just need to get a hold of their county.
No, it says
But that,
It has to be
but that's the same
before they
thing.
get the permit. So they can't even get a permit until they have an inspection.
Well, they have. It doesn't say that has to be turned in with, I think it should, but if they come in and say they have a Franklin County or this person from Gascony County, if they had, say, Franklin County, that would get them by until Gascony County gets to them.
Well, that's not what the permit, that's not what the ordinance says though. On part D, the food truck permit application shall include the following. Number 2, copy of an inspection report. So they can't even apply for the permit until they get the inspection?
That's how I read it.
According to Thomas, Jim, as much as I usually agree with you, I say we strike number 2.
Well, we've got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second on that motion? If not, that motion will die, and we can discuss some more.
I think we should continue to discuss.
Okay,
So,
let's get moving on it. We got a lot of other stuff to cover, so let's get her done.
so can we take number D2 out, but put something in there saying that we need to go, they need to contact the Gascony County Health Department for requirements or something, or so that they don't have to have this? But I know when I talk to the health department, they're like, if somebody wanted to open a restaurant and have a liquor license, they'd be coming in and get their inspection.
Well, and this
And it puts
is,
it on them.
and pardon my own ignorance, but I'm usually, they always say if you've got the question, a lot of other people in the room have the question too. And it's been brought up before. I'm coming to Hermann, and maybe I know now that I'm coming to Hermann every weekend in October, and I'm gonna pull in the first Friday of October with my food truck. What do? Do I bring the food truck to Hermann sometime between now and October and make an appointment with the Gascony County Health Department so that they can inspect my food truck before October, and then I get my license and I go home, and then I come back in October and then I've got it? Or do I wait until that Friday when I'm coming to Hermann and call the health department saying they'll be there at 5 o'clock? But then they come and they inspect and everything looks great, but the city clerk's office is closed. And so I still don't have my city permit for my food truck yet. So it's gotta happen ahead of time somehow for somebody to open their awning, you know, at 5 PM on Friday and be fully permitted according to our own rules. So,
Can we just say something that you have to have a food inspection, but don't say you have to have it for the permit? That within a month of getting your permit, or within a month of, or by the day you're gonna serve, you have to have your food inspection?
well, if we said it within a month after, that would kind of defeat the purpose.
Right.
Uh,
If they had to have it, I mean, they
If
have
they're,
to set it up.
if they're operating, they have to have it,
Yeah,
and
let them
that's
set it
not,
up.
that's not on us, that's on them, so.
Well, I think as we talked, that they know ahead of time, they're not gonna say Thursday, I'm gonna get up and be in Hermann at 6 o'clock Friday morning to sell. They know that ahead of time, and they have to get a permit business license anyhow. So at that same time, they should be contacting Gascony County, say, hey, I'm gonna be in Hermann on July the 29th, be located at 134 West 4th Street. And then the county can get back with them to a time to see them. And that's what Tom mentioned in there, that they would be available to inspect.
So I think you're right. If the vendors actually follow the proper procedure and they come in and they fill out their permit and they do what this says by telling us their location and when they're gonna be here, then we, like we've always done, forward that information to the county health department, and then we kind of wash our hands of it. And it's their responsibility to get inspected and to bring us the permit when they get it done. I don't know how else you go about it.
So take it out of the application process.
Right.
Take it out as a condition preceding to getting your
Yeah.
city permit. Yeah.
Right. It should still get it.
Yeah, but ours is more about notifying the county health department, hey, here's who's gonna be here and when, ball's in your court, and then those people will bring us the permit when they get it.
Basically
And then
doing
we
what
can
we're
put it in
doing
their
with
file.
everybody else is what it amounts to.
And then if our ordinance enforcement officer or policeman or somebody who's wandering around on Saturday afternoon and says, let me see your permit, they better have it, or their health inspection correspondence or checklist or whatever.
And I think, yeah, if Thomas could not get to him because of something else he had to do, he would probably say, you know what, here, you're okay right now, but I still want to inspect
Or
or
show
something.
your St.
Yeah.
Charles County
Yeah.
one or something
Yeah.
like that.
So how do we word this to make this be read? How do we say it?
You just strike D2 and 670-040 capital B.
Is that what you
Six
wanna do?
seventy oh 40.
B.
B.
Oh, B.
Oh, you said, I thought you said D.
I said D.
B, B as in boy.
It's a boy.
And 670-030, number D2.
Right.
And then Jim had made a point with the fee increasing, if the city business license fee increases, that this would increase with it. Is there a way to write that into this?
Sure.
Put in there something equal to, but not less than the general business license required.
Do we have to say that too?
I would say something like the fee will be the same fee charged for a business license per code section, whatever. And then if we change code section, whatever, someday it'll just follow.
Okay.
Okay.
So maybe I missed it here, so what was we wanting to take out of on revision, number 6?
Second page, D2, and
B
on
as
second
in
page,
boy?
D as in dog,
D,
and B down below. Important.
okay, section 2, I'm having trouble finding.
It's the second page, it says CD, and then it's number 2.
See D, item number 2, where a copy of the inspection report. That can be completely taken out, we don't need a copy even when they get it.
Not for the application
Not, well,
process.
yeah, I mean, that's out of the application process, but that's totally out of them getting us a copy when they do get it.
But they won't give us a copy anyway, the copy stays with the food truck, so whoever does the inspection, they have it with them.
And then the health department has record.
I'm just thinking if we had a copy, then if we get a phone call or we observe a food truck operating, we're not familiar with them, then we can call and say, yes, they do have a permit, and yes, we know they have a county health department inspection because it's in their file. Or we could just say, yeah, we issued a permit, they're supposed to get a hold of the health department, but evidently they didn't.
So call the health department.
So we go down and jerk our permit and then they close up if they have to. There's just a loophole in there.
Yeah, I think we're fine, I mean, you know, I don't know how, but I don't, you don't agree with me, but,
That's why we talk things over.
I don't.
But, so that's the only thing we're gonna take off.
And
D,
6700040B
number 2.
as well would go.
Which is down the page,
B as in boy.
not B as in dog.
Second page.
Yeah.
So there's D2 and B on that same page.
Okay, let's move on. Do you want to make a motion with the amendments?
I would like to make a motion to approve bill number 2022-24, first read, amending section 670.030 license and permit, taking out D and changing D to say same charge for business license, to strike D2, and then to strike section 670.040 regulations B.
Okay, the motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Still have a second reading.
Do I?
I said we still have a second reading next time, so
Yeah,
hold your applause.
I don't hold my applause. Okay.
All right, next is for second reading, bill number 2022-27, an ordinance to revise Hermann Municipal Code, section 710.020 sewer service rates.
We just discussion, questions? If not, I entertain a motion.
I move that bill number 2022-27 be second read.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next for second reading is bill number 2022-28, an ordinance providing for the budget for the city of Hermann, Missouri for fiscal year 2022-2023, and establishing a salary schedule for officers and employees of the city of Hermann, Missouri for fiscal year 2022-2023.
Any discussion on that? Now, do I have a motion?
I move to approve bill number 2022-28, second read.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next for second reading is bill number 2022-29, an ordinance to approve a municipal services contract by and between the city of Hermann, Missouri and Mary Kunstman doing business as the Computer Lady.
Questions? Now, motion?
Move 2022-29, second read.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next for second reading, bill number 2022-30, an ordinance to approve a municipal services contract by and between the city of Hermann, Missouri and Jennifer Davis for marketing and website services.
Questions? Now, a motion, please.
I move that bill number 2022-30 be second read.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next for second reading, bill number 2022-31, an ordinance to approve a municipal services and material contract by and between the city of Hermann, Missouri and K.E. Butterfield LLC to provide blog and content writer services.
Discussion? Motion?
Move 2022-31, second read.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next for second reading, bill number 2022-33, an ordinance to amend sections 220-190, 220-200, 220-210, and 220-220 of the municipal code and prescribing a schedule of rates for refuse container leases, for garbage and refuse collection, for billing and collection services by the city, for recycling charges, and for maintenance.
Second reading, do I have a motion?
Make motion 2022-33 be second read.
Motion made, second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next is bill number 2022-36, for first reading, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2246 regarding the budget for fiscal year 2021-2022.
Any discussion on this? Can I have a motion?
I move to approve bill number 2022-36 first read.
Motion been made, second.
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We need to read that the second time, please.
Bill number 2022-36 for second reading, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 2246 regarding the budget for fiscal year 2021-2022.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve bill number 2022-36, second read.
Motion made, second.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next, for first reading, bill number 2022-37, an ordinance authorizing the execution of an agreement for services between the city of Hermann, Missouri and the Hermann Area Hospital District and Oates Incorporated.
Any discussion on this?
This is a very, very important service. I move to have it be read.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. We need to read that one again also.
Bill number 2022-37, an ordinance authorizing the execution of an agreement for services between the city of Hermann, Missouri and the Hermann Area Hospital District and Oates Incorporated.
Motion?
Before we move, just, I don't know if it's a typo, but it's not listed 2022, it's 2021.
Oh, it is. would be just a typo, and that's my error, sorry.
Okay. Didn't know if it
22.
mattered.
Thank you.
I move to approve bill number 2021, or 2022-37, second read.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next, for first reading, bill number 2022-38, an ordinance to approve a municipal services and material contract by and between the city of Hermann, Missouri and Madden Media to provide digital social media marketing.
Questions on that one? Tammy's not here, so. Not, do I have a motion?
Move to approve 2022-38.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second?
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Was this a second reading or first?
That's the first reading.
Okay.
And then we will move to resolution.
Resolution number 1321, a resolution to describe the facts and reasons for a necessary amendment to the city's budget for fiscal year 2021-2022. This is what Tricia was referring to earlier about the quirk in the statute that says you need to pass a resolution every time you pass an ordinance to amend a budget.
And we have backup documentation for every single line item, if anybody's ever interested.
Okay, need a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 1321.
Motion been made, do I have a second? Second. Motion made, second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Next would be a resolution to identify to the Missouri Ethics Commission the established method of disclosure of potential conflicts of interest and substantial interest by certain officials, officers, and employees of the city of Hermann.
This is something that we're required to do by the state. So if,
They just want to know that we have our conflict of interest ordinance on file, and if there's been any changes, which there have not.
we have a motion to approve that?
Motion to approve resolution 1322.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second?
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to old business. Under old business, occupancy permits, building permit fees. I think what we need to do is, I think we need input from the public on this. This is going to affect a lot of people down the road.
And I'm hoping that Ray puts a good description of
What
whatever
I'm
it is.
saying is, I want real estate agents, I want people that own property, I want people that are considering selling their houses to reach out to the city office, me, or the older people, and let us know what you think about this. I mean, this is, I know a lot of other towns and cities have these type of rules. It doesn't mean we have to do it as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm one of these guys that I don't like any more rules than we have to have. But I think it can affect a lot of people in many different ways. And I think, like Mike said earlier, you know, we need to walk gingerly before we jump into this. And I really think that talk to your neighbors and business people, and we would appreciate, or I would appreciate input and opinions and recommendations of what you all think we should do with this. I just don't think the body up there should just make a snap decision. And so with that, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we need to move much.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Would it be possible to have a workshop type thing on this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a possibility.
If there's enough, maybe.
If there, yeah, I think that we'll feel out and see if we get any response first, you know, and, like I say, I just don't wanna jump into it real quick. So,
And if people want, could they have, like, the things that we have here that we've looked at? I mean, can they have access to this?
Absolutely, we can make little packets like that available that are, they're samples of, occupancy permits and checklists that other cities have. So you can kind of get an idea of
What it is.
Hermann one might look like.
anyway, let's make baby steps is what I'm saying, okay? Is that okay with everybody up here?
Yes.
My statement? If so, we'll just move forward then. With that. Does that have to remain on the agenda for the next one then? Because
It doesn't have to, it's your call, really.
okay, is there any other old business?
The
Yep, so easements were sent to Central Electric. They reached out to Jesse with a question, or Jesse reached out. There's been some back and forth on those. I haven't spoken to the lawyer for them, but this Mike Bax, Jesse. And Jesse are working on that, yes, so there's progress being made.
Yeah.
Any other old business?
One thing I may want to add, I know we went past it, but on that occupancy permit, to me, I think there's two different things here to discuss. Maybe we could handle it, or Mike's actually requesting to look into what we charge for the permits.
Right.
So they're two
That's basically a separate issue.
Yeah, so maybe we could separate them and then tackle them individually.
Okay. Any new business? No new business, we'll move into motions. I have a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
I move to approve the minutes.
Motion been made, second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Invoices for payment.
I move we pay the bills.
Motion to pay the bills, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Conditional use permit renewal for Missouri Vacation Rentals LLC, Etcher Mills, 210 East 4th Street, owner unoccupied guest house.
I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Approved annual renewal of CTM distribution for rack card distribution for tourist department.
Before you move that, Derek, have you heard any, in the tourism commission meetings, how successful has that been? How much
I think,
volume are we
I think
handing
that
out?
the volume was as stated. I think it was a little down. I don't remember off the top of my head how much exactly. I think with COVID it wasn't as much as we were expecting, but I think it still is a wise investment. I think
Yeah.
for 7,500, it's a lot of exposure. Not off the top of my head.
Any other discussion? We have a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
Motion, do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. July 2022 liquor license renewal. Questions?
If we're looking at this all in one, I do have one question, and it's on the piano bar, where there again looks like there's two different items that should be separate, one from the liquor license, but it's got including the outdoor seating.
Oh, this
Included
is-
with the liquor license.
The liquor license, what that's supposed to mean is that the liquor license just includes their outdoor seating, that they're licensed for that area. That's all that means.
Approving right now the
No.
renewal of the outdoor seating.
No.
Okay,
No.
that's all right.
Okay. And you'll notice there is that one outstanding, if we can go ahead and approve it tonight, we will hold their license, the Family Dollar, until we get, payment. They're having a hard time, reaching their corporate office, for payment, but they know how important it is, and we've visited them in person, so they're working on that.
So we give them like a time limit or?
Well, if we don't have payment, then their license will have expired.
On the first?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a motion to approve the liquor license.
Motion to approve.
Motion made, second.
Second?
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Approved bid from Beasley for cyber liability insurance policy. Everybody is aware of what's going on with this? Any questions? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Reappoint Becky Myers to the Arts Council.
I
I move to approve Becky Myers' reappointment.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second?
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Special event application for the Hermann Arts Council request to close Schiller Street from 1st to 4th with open container permission from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. in conjunction with the First Friday Art Walks for additional artists and food and drink vendors, July 1st and August 5th, 2022. Open for discussion.
I would like to discuss this a little bit. I can understand the closing of Schiller Street to allow the crafts to happen, but I'm not in favor of the open container being done away with. I think it's gonna be very, very hard to be done. Because if I'm on First Street, I can't drink it, but if I step on Schiller Street, now we're asking. It's fine.
I'm with the Arts Council, may I? Yeah. So we were planning, this is done before for Witches and Wines and whatnot. We're planning on having someone at the beginning of the street and the end of the street with trash cans to collect containers as they come in and out. We want to give, it's been super hot, we've had artists wanting to cancel because of the heat, so we're trying to give them an opportunity to come and set up a tent for shade, as well as the buildings on the west side, I believe, of the street provide some shade as well. There's, 5 businesses on that street that sell liquor, and 5, right?
Yes.
4 and a half. And then, in the future, we're talking about possibly getting some food trucks and maybe, Stonehill Winery and Adam Gupta to come set up trucks for slushies and whatnot.
Definitely no with the open container, because you would have to have somebody at each alley where people can walk in. Let's say I'm on 4th Street. If I'm on 4th Street, have an open container, I'm subject to be
Okay,
issued a
so let me
citation.
ask you, how is that done for Witches and Wine?
Well, that is brought to my attention, and we'll have to reconsider that this year too.
Has Marlon looked at this? Does he know that? Is he here?
Marlon's
Here. Can you speak to Witches and Wine and if there have been any issues and how you enforced their open container during?
There's no issues reported to us when they have the event, so.
So you put barricades at all the,
They have barricades and people stay within it, and they have workers at each exit or wherever with trash cans, making sure people aren't leaving.
Can we give them the signs to post that say,
Yeah, I have plenty of signs, we post them along the street, and,
are you worried about traffic and parking?
no, I mean, it's no different than anything else, I mean, it's, was it one day, or what is it?
It's just gonna be the first Friday of every month we're asking for the next 2 months, but we might want to extend it for 2 more months. Just during the hot-
All Schiller Street shut down?
Pardon me?
So all of Schiller was shut down from 1st to 4th Street?
Yes, just from 2 to 7 or 8.
Now, would the intersection be open to go on 4th Street all the way down to Hoover? Is that intersection in your plan? to
Yes.
open?
Yes.
The 4th is going to be open.
So, I guess that was my only concern, was that you know how busy town gets with traffic on Friday evenings. I guess that was my only hesitation.
As long as they get through like 4th Street, you can get through 4th Street down to Gutenberg and all that's open.
Yeah, that will all be open.
Emergency vehicles and wherever we can get down there, get around, so it's not gonna be blocked off.
That the open container can be tabled. We just would like to get at least permission to shut the street down, so we can let the artists know.
But the other part, when you mentioned you thought about having wineries down there selling slushies, that would put another big, strong no-vote to me, because we don't allow food trucks to sell intoxicating beverages either. And to me, to be set up to sell there, then how do you enforce it if I buy one on Schiller and I go up 3rd Street?
As I said, we'll have people at all the exits, entrance. We have plenty of volunteers to help us with that.
The food trucks wouldn't be selling liquor.
Well,
They
I'm
have-
just,
the
as
wineries have their own.
vendor sitting on the street, I'd rather see the street closed instead of sidewalks Because I know this last time, the ADA 5-foot regulation is not there for the craft fair to be sitting on the sidewalk.
Yeah, we'll give an opportunity for the artists to have a lot more room. We actually have a few other artists that have really large setups. The one is like a trailer, and he does live glass demonstrations. So we would definitely put him there because there's no room for him on the sidewalk.
So this is just for 2 months, so it's kind of an experiment to see if it works and how it works.
It's an experiment to see if it will work, and if it does, it works out for the artists and whatnot. Like I said, we may want to extend it for September and October, depending on, the main reason was to get the artists out of the heat.
Because in June, you had 60 some odd different vendors. Was that the
Miranda?
Yeah,
number?
it was 48, I believe, is what
Okay,
it ended up
so-
being.
Yeah.
It's very
And it's just
successful.
getting bigger every time, so.
I thank the Arts Council and Miranda and Mark Deddens for bringing it to life even more.
As far as the open container goes, I mean, we're not selling anything on the street at this point, or the sidewalk, and the businesses who are selling, that's, they're, as they should do every day, police that. Not allowing open containers to leave their premises.
And if the council has signage and someone at each end of it, they'll be monitoring. And it's for 2 months.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, we don't see many drunk people between the times of noon and
And if they are,
2
the
or
police are gonna step in.
8 on a Friday afternoon. Most of the time, that's when people are coming into town, and they're looking for something casual to do in the afternoon or the evening.
Olin, did you have something you want to mention?
Just a quick comment. I would really be concerned as a lodging business for having 3 facilities, particularly for September and October, because we're nearly booked solid and people are coming in on Friday, so
Every lodging business that's located on Schiller Street can park on the side streets. I looked at that today because that was one of my thoughts too.
Well, I really, just people moving about town on Friday afternoon into the evening.
And this is just for July and August though.
Yeah, July and August is fine, but I think it really needs to be.
We can address that in 2 months as long as we
Okay.
approve this. All right, any other discussion so we can move?
Can we clarify? I'm not sure I understand yet. So, for the open container, are you tabling that, or are we still considering that? If we're considering it, I have a question.
I don't have a problem with it, but they're the ones.
I guess my question was, I think we ran into this problem before, we need to just decide up front if businesses who sell alcohol, if their patrons are allowed to bring those drinks out into the closed street.
They're not supposed to, even
But I
though.
mean, if the street is closed and we're allowing open containers, are we gonna allow people to bring drinks out of existing bars and restaurants, or are the open containers only gonna apply to people vending on the street?
How does it work with witches and wine?
People sell it on the street.
Well, I think that's why I bring it up, is because I
So
think it's been an
it's vended on
issue.
the street.
Yeah.
Well, it would be really nice for all of us 5 businesses if we could, because I have like a lot of canned stuff, and, if people could, it would just make it, in my opinion, more enjoyable.
I know,
Maybe
like,
if
for my
people could
concerts.
leave your business with a drink and then go down the street.
Yeah, I know, like, for my concert series, like, people are gonna have alcohol, and we're just required to have somebody at each exit onto 5th Street or 4th Street, and a sign that says no alcohol past this exit, so I don't see how it'd be any different if we shut something else down.
And you don't allow, like I couldn't go to your place and buy a drink and then go over to his place with the
I
drink
wouldn't
from
let
there.
it in.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't let like some people walk in, somebody else bring a drink in, just like anybody else. But yeah, like,
That wouldn't be allowed.
if I haven't, my artist is on the sidewalk and my artist wants to come in and get a whiskey and soda and take it out and sit at his vendor table, like, I don't see it.
Well, wouldn't you require them to dump it out of their glass into a solo cup? Or
So
styrofoam or
we would
something?
have some special containers for that specific one, with some disposable containers for that specific event.
Do we have signage anywhere?
Oh, yeah.
And,
Every business is supposed to have it visible.
but I mean, does the city have signage like tents, A-frame tents for street closures?
We have like on barricades,
They
right?
put the barricades up.
We have signs that say.
If we got barricades, saw horses up to block the street, I have to block it at first, second.
But
Okay.
their point is why, I'm sorry, their point is why I wanted to bring that up, because I know it had been an issue with Witches and Wine at one point about how those brick and mortar businesses, how they could or could not participate
Right.
when the street is closed.
I think we should just let the brick and mortar sell alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, especially for July too specifically, I mean, the point is to keep the artist out of the sun and then provide some beverage options, then because of the heat, I mean, I know it's alcoholic beverage, but it's still gonna help beat the heat of our 90-degree weather coming up in July and August.
Mike, you want to make a
So real quick
comment?
comment, I would think it would be up to the Arts Council and the participating businesses to prove that this will work. And they would have June, or July and August to make it work. And you'll know if it don't work because the police will let you know.
I am sure of that. Okay. Let's move forward.
I move
Motion
to
died.
approve it from 2 to 8 with the businesses that sell alcoholic beverages being allowed to sell them. Is that,
So I think we just want to, if your motion is going to be to permit open containers, including brick and mortar businesses participating.
Or the block section of Sugar Street.
Yes, yes.
Because now because the other people that sell won't fall underneath this.
No.
So we're biased, we're
Right.
doing something for someone that we're not doing
Yeah,
for somebody else.
that's true.
We're not doing the ordinance equally and fairly to all licensed places.
Well, you don't do that for Witches and Wine either. I'm just saying, that's just the closest thing I can compare to what we want to do.
Didn't My Fest also used to take place just on Schiller?
Yeah, and my fest also, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, aye.
aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion carried. Okay, special event application, Chamber of Commerce Independence Day celebration activities, concert at the amphitheater on July 2nd, vendors at Riverfront Park, fireworks and parade on July 3rd, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second?
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Special event application to Boy Scouts Food and First Aid Stand, Riverfront Park Pavilion, July 13th through the July 15th, 2022. That's for that boat
Yeah.
thing that they do. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Motion been made, second.
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Special event application Fernway Distilling Company Anniversary Celebration Festivities with a Beer Garden at the George Johnson Park, August 20th, 2022. Discussion.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Special event application, Hermann Line Club Pickleball Tournament fundraiser, tennis courts, September 24th and 25th.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. No further business, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Have a good evening, and happy 4th of July. Be here before we know it.